Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know podcast network presents Balls Brew.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is not Jimmy Jamriska leading the fast break. This is Rod coming at you. I normally host Balls and Brew, normally host the Morgan You Know. You've heard me many times before. Jimmy is at another, Chris, can you believe this? Another softball practice in the middle of winter. I'm really beginning to question all of these winter softball practices that Jimmy has to go to.
You know, when you think about year-long baseball, year-long sports, you think of Florida, maybe Georgia, Southern California, Arizona, not Indiana, not in February, January. I'm starting to think that maybe he's got something else going on.
I do not want to put any clamps on Izzy Jamriska, Jimmy's lovely daughter, who is involved in softball, but I still just have to call BS on this. I just don't believe that he really is actually at a softball practice in the middle of winter.
Yeah, we're calling shenanigans, Jim.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Jimmy. Just want to let you know that there are indoor softball fields. They're turf. They're inside. It's warm. I hate you guys.
So Jimmy is not here with us, but he will be producing this very episode. But in Jimmy's stead, we have a Morgan You Know Hall of Famer. All right. Whenever we can get this gentleman back on the podcast, we are extremely excited. And you out there, the listener, are better for it because this man knows more basketball than Chris or I or Jimmy combined. He is, of course, first and foremost, a Holy Cross priest. And he is the assistant vice president for the Office of Campus Ministry at the University of Notre Dame, as well as if those two things weren't enough, he's the chaplain for the men's basketball team. He's our friend. He's the first ever Hall of Famer here at the Morgan You Know Network. It's Father Pete McCormick.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for the invite. It's so honored. I'm so honored to be here kicking it with you guys.
Well, we always reach out to Father Pete, and you are a busy, busy man. So we got you now as we're heading towards the stretch run. We received some wild news today out of Minnesota. One, Karl Anthony Towns now has a knee injury. It's looking like maybe he's going to be out for the rest of the year, maybe reevaluated. I don't love what I hear there. So, Father Pete, let me go to my first question for you. The top of the West right now, other than Denver, are some pretty young, pretty playoff less experienced teams. Do you believe that that makes the West ripe for an upset?
Look, I think that the Karl Anthony Towns news is really disappointing because I do believe that, listen, I was a Pistons fan back in the day, and they had to kind of work their way through the Celtics and figure out what it took to win. And then they got beat by the Lakers in the finals before they eventually won it. And, there's a process in the league that you don't just kind of appear out of nowhere and win immediately, that there's stages that you have to overcome. And what I would worry about for Minnesota is that I don't think they're going to be able to compete at the highest level without Cat. And so I really, beyond that, everyone's playing for second place to Denver. Denver's rolling all the way through this league. I mean, the only time it's going to get interesting is assuming the Celtics make their way through the East. And then you've got a Boston v. Denver matchup. But short of that, I think that the missed opportunity here for Minnesota is they're not going to have the chance to really compete at a high level and begin to kind of earn some of those stripes that would otherwise get them over the hump maybe in a couple of years.
So I hear from you that you think Denver's ultimately going to secure the number 1 seed and home court advantage all the way through the Western Conference. So that makes Oklahoma City 2 maybe, right? I'm hearing that you think Minnesota might fall down to the 3 line. So yeah. Oklahoma City at 2, Father Pete, how does it sound if you get maybe Luka Doncic? Maybe you get Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, or maybe you get LeBron James and Anthony Davis. If you're the Oklahoma City Thunder and you get one of these experienced teams with top-end talent, how scared should Oklahoma City be of these teams that haven't played well in the regular season but have all of the playoff mettle?
Well, first and foremost, you got to give a shout-out to Sam Presti in Oklahoma City. Like, what that guy has consistently done in terms of retooling and rebuilding is remarkable. I really do think that this Oklahoma City team is akin to that early Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant team. They're almost too young to realize the heights that they're going to soar to. They're young, they're playing loose, they're confident. So yeah, I mean, they're gonna respect a LeBron James and a Steph Curry, but those guys are old. And it's no disrespect. I'm older than both LeBron and Steph. But when you look at this Oklahoma City team, I'd love to know the average age, but they look at these guys and have been playing against them for a long time. And certainly there's a respect there, but my hunch is from an athletic perspective, there's not much fear there.
Chris, the Lakers are 3-1 versus the Thunder. All right. I don't know how much I'm supposed to take out of that, but the one thing you hear about Oklahoma City is they're a little light on the inside, right? We all love Chet. He's playing great. But other than Chet, they don't have a whole lot of height. And Bismack Biyombo just collapsed out of nowhere the other night, standing over by the huddle there. They say he's going to be okay. But, I mean, should I worry about the Lakers being 3-1 versus Oklahoma City? Or do you go with Father Pete here, Chris, that their inexperience isn't going to matter?
They're a bit of an enigma to me, to be honest with you, because when Adams went down, I thought that could be a lot for them to overcome. And the fact that Holmgren has came in and essentially taken over and really elevated this team a lot more than I think anybody ever expected. So part of me wants to say I shouldn't think too much of the Lakers going 3-1 against Oklahoma City, but the big men in the West will wear you down in the playoffs. And that is no more true than in the West right now, especially if Minnesota gets Towns back before the playoffs.
Well, the sneaky thing about the Lakers, Father Pete, and I'm gonna push back on you here a little bit, right? Is that
please.
we have Anthony Davis, who's basically a 7-footer. We have LeBron James, who's 6'9" and like 285 pounds. He's a tank. Rui Hachimura is actually pretty tall. Austin Reeves, right? The Lakers are actually a pretty big physical team, and the playoffs get pretty physical. I worry about this Oklahoma City team in that type of game. Do I love watching them play basketball? Is Jay Williams, Jay Will, J Dub, whatever, the two different guys? They're great, right? Everybody loves Shea Gildress. We love Chet Holmgren, but I just worry about these guys in a knockdown, drag out slugfest. And LeBron in year 21, that's the kind of game he's going to be playing.
Yeah, and to talk out of both sides of my mouth here, one of the things that you can't account for in the regular season in the way that you can predict in the postseason is LeBron's ability to control each game. The kind of point forward mentality that he has. So Oklahoma City may prefer to run and try to get out ahead of LA, and in a couple games in the series, they might have that chance. But if LeBron's able to put the ball in his hands and control the pace, it definitely gives LA, coupled with his experience, a whole advantage in a way that, to the point I made earlier, Detroit didn't have when they were facing the Celtics, and so many teams that have been up and coming just need to get through those hurdles before they got shot.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to count out LeBron James. I think it's going to be interesting in the West. I mean, basically 3 all the way down to 10 can just shift and move so many times before we even get to the end of the year. So Oklahoma City might not have to play the Lakers. But Father Pete, I'm going to have to take a little bit of umbrage with something else that you said earlier. You said if the Celtics come out of the East, I mean, do we really think there's an if the Celtics come out of the East at this point? I mean, Chris, come on, back me up here.
All right, so Rod, we know, and you know that I've had the Celtics at the top of the hierarchy for about the whole season. All right. We know that they are right now the best team in the league. All right. They have the record to prove it, and they consistently prove it against the top teams of the league. Well, this leads me to a question, and we already kind of talked about the roughness and the physicality of the playoffs. Well, there's a team out of the East that I thought was going to make a run to push against Boston. And Father Pete, do you think, given how well they were playing before they came across all these injuries, that the Knicks, if they get healthy, can make a run to the finals, or at least the Eastern Conference Finals if they get healthy before the playoffs? Because they were playing very well after they made those midseason moves.
Mm-hmm. I'll just say it, and it's certainly not a Father Pete McCormick original, but I think Thibodeau is going to do what Thibodeau does. And you're already seeing it. Shocker alert. The Knicks are injured. Are we surprised by this? No. So I don't think the Knicks are a threat. I think that they will be half the team that they were at the start of the season because of the way Tibbs coaches them. And that's just the truth. And that's been borne out. Just ask Derrick Rose, right?
That's Miles
the reality of the whole
McBride.
thing.
Poor Miles McBride checked into the game a minute and a half after Jalen Brunson went down and then didn't come back out. I mean, goodness gracious, Tibbs. Come on, you could have given the guy a 30-second breather at least.
Yeah, so the question in my mind, and it's a good point about the C's. The question is can Joel Embiid come back and can he get to some version of himself? Because if that's the case, then in a 7-game series that could get interesting. I don't think Philadelphia is nervous about going out on the road against Boston. So if they had Joel Embiid and if they're playing real well, I love Tyrese Maxey, then all of a sudden it's a different conversation. But we'll see. If Joel Embiid's not back, then I don't think there's anyone, maybe short of the Miami Heat, that pull little Jimmy playoff Butler magic out of the hat. But point well taken. But the team I'd look for to potentially compete against the C's would be the Sixers.
So Doc Rivers coaching up there in Milwaukee doesn't do much for you. You don't think the other M team in the East could provide the Celtics with some trouble?
No, I think that interestingly enough, the Celtics have players who better match up with Milwaukee, and in fact, short of a Giannis scenario, they have better players on the Celtics. So
you know what? You're right. My guy Luke Cornett, he could actually play in that series because Brook Lopez isn't exactly a nimble, fleet-of-foot center. So my guy Luke can get some run in that, Chris. You know how I like the white Americans, Chris.
Yeah, no, you would be very happy to see that.
Yeah, I love my guys Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett. Love my guys. Getting like 16 minutes a game for the Celtics there. All right, Father Pete, let's go to more broad, kind of something that talks a little bit about the league as a whole this year. We have seen some absolute scoring explosions. Luka got 70, Towns got 70, Dame's in 60. Guys are getting 50 all over the place. Teams are scoring 140, 150 a night. You brought up your bad boy Pistons many times. So I will ask you, do you want to see more defense in the game?
Well, whether I want to see it or not, in the playoffs when it matters, you see it. I really do believe that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, which is not something I believe. It's actually a law of thermodynamics. So the fact is the NBA said, listen, we're going to limit load management. We're going to require guys to play at minimum 65 games. And so what is the equal and opposite reaction to that? Teams just don't defend as much. Guys are going to go out there, they're going to play, they're going to ball, but they're just not going to defend as hard because they're going to try to protect their bodies because they're going to want to extend their careers as long as possible. The money is just too good in the NBA to be broke down at 28. So I think you'll start to see defense once we get to the playoffs. But right now they're like, okay, no load management, no problem. This is how we're going to solve this.
Okay, then let me play off of that real quick. Do you think we will see someone, and I'm calling this the modern day scoring record, all right? We all understand that Wilt scored 100 points in a game, but we have no footage of it. None of us have ever seen it. We just know I'm holding a piece of paper. The modern day scoring record is Kobe's 81. Do you think we'll see somebody get 82?
Sure. I think Dame goes off one night, and they start feeding him the ball with a kind of lack of defensive efficiency around the game these days. So I think it's possible. All it takes is one guy, and especially with the incredible efficiency that guys shoot the 3 ball these days, yeah, it's possible.
And will it happen versus the Atlanta Hawks or the Washington Lizards? Because I cannot call them the Wizards because they have not gotten a W in February. All right, they had a 21-point lead the other night and still blew it. The Lizards are terrible. Which team will the 82 come against?
Well, I'm grateful you didn't mention the Pistons here, so I'll pick on.
They're coming.
I'll pick
They're
on
coming, Father Pete. Don't think we're letting you off the hook.
It could very easily be the Pacers too. They don't play any defense.
I'll pick the Lizards here.
Nice, that's a good call. All right, Chris, you have another big picture question here. Stump Father Pete. We didn't even send him this one. Father Pete's got to do this one off the dome.
Yeah. And we're gonna need an answer out of you, Father Pete. So
okay.
So we need something. All right. So we're going to look at the NBA on all the teams that are outside of the top 6 in their conference. So you're looking at play-in teams and out of the playoffs, all right? Which one of these teams are more likely to win more than one championship in the next 5 years? Who's set up right now that may get something accomplished in the next 5 years that doesn't look like they're ready yet, but they're close?
And I'm going to clean this up just a second. They don't have to win multiple championships. Just one championship would be fine, Chris. You don't have to have them make multiple championships. One team outside of the top 6 in either conference right now winning a championship in 5 years is pretty good.
I want to think on this.
I've got an answer. Can I? While you're thinking, Father Pete, I've got an answer because
Go.
Chris told me about this one last night. Does Orlando count, Chris? Even though I think technically right now they're 6th. Does Orlando count?
They're 4th right now.
Oh, they're 4th now. Okay,
as
so
we
Orlando
talk.
doesn't even count.
So you're looking at Sixers, Pacers, Bulls, Hawks, and then the Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, Pistons. From the West, you have the Kings, Mavericks, Warriors, Lakers, Jazz, Rockets, Grizzlies, Blazers, Spurs.
Okay, I think I know who I like now then. I think I'd have to say the Mavericks because Luka Doncic at some point is going to be the best player on the court, and that can certainly mean things for you. So, and
it's probably also the person to break your Kobe record too.
Yeah, he also has deep-pocketed owners now in the Adelsons. So I'm going with the Mavericks. Father Pete, who do you got?
Okay, I'm going to stay out in the Western Conference, and I'm going to go with the Kings.
Ooh.
The Kings
played the beam.
They played great ball last year, and that arena was electric. People, if the Kings get flowing, and it sounds like they've got some management issues and have been plagued with this for some time. Like, I don't know, I'm going to fire Mike Malone. That seems like a really good idea.
Yeah.
But if they can kind of put the things together, they've got some interesting parts and have a fan base that can get really behind them.
Just pandering to Chris. Just openly pandering to Chris.
You have no idea how happy you made me right now, Pete. We were the unofficial Kings Central Indiana podcast last year. And all of a sudden this year, Rod and Jimmy want to abandon the Kings.
Not Jimmy. Just me. Just me.
I've had enough of it. I've been trying to light the beam all year.
He has. So who's your answer, Chris?
My answer was actually going to be Sacramento because I was going to be a homer. I didn't think either one of you would pick them, but the fact that Father Pete did made my night. So
there you go. And I guess if we have to pick an East team, let's give a shout out to our guy Deck Storm and say the Pacers. All right, they're going to re-sign Pascal Siakam to a big contract, and some of those young guys.
Halliburton staying around for a while. We got Mathurin staying around for a while. Yeah, I could easily see the Pacers starting to make a run in the East.
Is it Mathurin or Mathurin? And I'm honestly asking. I'm not making fun of you here, Chris. I'm honestly asking. Is it Mathurin or Mathurin?
I don't know.
I don't either. You think I should know that, but I don't. It doesn't matter. Let's move on to another team in the Eastern Conference that starts with a P. The Detroit Pistons. Father Pete's team. Detroit basketball. All right. They had a rough early part of the year, but Father Pete, I'm sure you're aware of this. If the Lizards keep losing, the team that they play who could break the Pistons' futility record is the Pistons. Were you even aware of this?
I was not. Seriously?
Yes. So if the
Wizards
possible
that the Lizards could?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I love that. Thank the Lord. Listen, I want to just thank the Washington franchise for making my dreams possible so quickly.
Yeah. I can't believe it either. The Lizards are absolutely terrible. They have the worst contract in the NBA in Jordan Poole. The worst. Listen, Jordan, I'm sorry, buddy. Draymond did you dirty, and it went wrong for you because of what he did. But your play on the court this year has not made you look any better. Now I'm getting sidetracked by the Lizards again. Father Pete, who off of this Pistons team do you want to see continue? And this, by the way, is our question submitted by our intrepid producer, Jimmy Jamriska.
Great. Well, Kate Cunningham, got to stay. I love. I think it's Asura Thompson. I think he's the real deal. And he was fouled in that Knicks game, just in case we're wondering. Yes, he was fouled.
He definitely was.
Isaiah Stewart. It's that whole core, right? I think that these guys are going to be really good. The thing I've not understood with Troy Weaver, who is a Sam Presti disciple, so I have given him a lot of grace and space. His affinity for bigs, all these kind of former high 1, 2, 3 pick bigs that seemingly have not panned out in the league. I don't understand why we continue to collect them, but yet we do. So I'll be really interested. But I think that core of guys are going to be really critical for whatever the Pistons do. And I also want to say, if you look at this 82-game season, and I don't know how many games we're exactly in, they've shown steady improvement. The other one I got to give some love to, because his mom coaches here, is Jaden Ivey. First of all, Coach Ivey is amazing. She's got the women's Fighting Irish rolling. But I do believe that Jaden Ivey is going to be fantastic, and he's just finding himself. People sometimes forget that he would only be maybe a senior right now had he stayed at Purdue. So I think there's a lot of a really good real estate ahead of him in terms of capacity and kind of growth.
Okay, now also I got to go here on you. You mentioned Jaden Ivey's mom coaches at Notre Dame. The Pistons coach is an alumni of Notre Dame. Did that make it hurt just a little bit more for you when he was going through all that losing at the beginning of the year?
No, man. Listen. Monty Williams is a high class guy, right? You look at, and this will get personal for a moment here, or sentimental. When you think about what he went through with the loss of his wife, this is a guy that you want coaching your team because he's got perspective. He can look at these young men and say, okay, I get it. 27 games lost is not fun, but let me tell you about what really isn't fun, and what opportunity we have before us. And when you've got a coach who has that much wisdom and perspective, the team's going to get better because Monty can pull from a well of wisdom that the average person doesn't have. And I'm really confident that we'll get there. But I'm sure it wasn't fun by any stretch. And I also love to go back to that Knicks foul at the end of the game, like to see the fire that Monty had, saying like, listen, I haven't given up, and we're not giving up, and we're going to fight, and we're going to walk into the heart of the Garden, and we're going to compete at a really high level against these guys. So like, I'm just really excited about what Coach Williams is bringing to the table, and the fact that he's a domer is an added plus.
Yeah, he was going after Vladimir Radmanovich's crown, right? His rant that he went on after that one Raptors game was legendary. Nobody's going to top that one, but Monty was definitely going for the crown.
And I love it. I love the walk off, and that's all I have to say. Oof. That is so good. I want to be able to do that once. I really would like to be able to do that just once.
Well, listen, Chris here can ask you one last question, and you can just close your laptop and walk out from here. I mean, that's the best we can offer you here on the Morgan Podcast Network.
No, you guys, I can't do you dirty like that.
Well, we are going to let you get off and do your other important duties as a Holy Cross priest, and go out there and spread that good word to the people for the 9:00 mass up there at Notre Dame. So thank you so very much for coming back on and joining us, Father Pete. And I'll tell you what, I'll reach out sometime during the playoffs, and if you're free, we'd love to have you back on.
Great. Hey, Rod and Chris, you guys do such a good job. Thank you all so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen. And after we're going to have a little break here, Jimmy will put in some sort of sound effect, and Chris and I will come back and do our regular nonsense of Chris doing the hierarchy and me yelling at somebody. Oh, Chris, I mean, nothing quite like a visit from the Hall of Famer, is there?
It is every time that he joins us on this podcast, I just feel luckier and luckier that we are able to have someone with his class and his knowledge, especially when it comes to the NBA. So I am thankful every time that he comes on.
The man is an amazing, amazing guy, right? There was an unfortunate passing of a student at Notre Dame earlier this week, and Father Pete has been dealing with all of that. And to be able to come on this podcast and chop it up with us and then turn around and have to do a service like that, that just speaks to the kind of guy that Father Pete is. All right, like I said, we're going to get to our regular nonsense here, Rod Damnation and hierarchy. All right, I'm going to start with Rod Damnation. And Chris, this Rod Damnation's a little tongue-in-cheek here, all right? So get ready for it, but we'll give Jimmy a space here for the intro. But I do believe we should all follow one path in life, and if Kyrie Irving says we should do something, go the other way. All right, this week's Rod Damnation is for one of my normal favorite things. We all know how on this podcast I love to hype up my white Americans, all right? Dean Wade, how dare you? How dare you? Who do you think you are, going for 20 points in the fourth quarter and stopping my Celtics' 11-game winning streak? Who exactly do you think you are, Dean Wade? Getting a slam dunk, hitting 5 3-pointers. This is ridiculous. And you know what? I told Father Pete that the Celtics are going to walk all the way to the finals, and they probably are. But that kind of game worries me, okay? Coming down to clutch time, you need plays, and what happens? The Celtics offense stagnates with Jason Tatum fadeaways, and they're getting lit up by Dean Wade. Dean Wade, Chris. If they can't stop Dean Wade in the fourth quarter of an important game, they're going to have some serious trouble against guys like Giannis and Dame and Jimmy Butler and Jokic and all of the others that they might have to play by the time they get to the finals. So my Rod Damnation this week, Chris, is for Dean Wade. How dare he single-handedly beat my Celtics?
We are living in a different time, Rod. It's 2024. Maybe they didn't realize that this wasn't Dwayne Wade.
Or Dwayne Wayne from a different world.
There you go.
Nice. We all love Dwayne Wayne with the flip down sunglasses. So, but what did you think of that game? Because I'm sure you saw at one point the Celtics were up big, and then maybe you saw at the end they lost. Like, do you worry about the Celtics in their late game?
There are times that I do, but like this is an 82 game season. Like we want to see our guys on our teams play 100% to 110% every minute of every game throughout the season. It's not going to happen as much as I want to and as much as I preach it, to play like that on this channel. It doesn't happen. So am I worried about a few games? Not when you're still got the best record in the league by 6 or 7 games, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's keep this in perspective, Rod.
I know, but I'm a fan, and fan is short for fanatic, so I get a little crazy, and I just was not happy. Like we literally recording the wrestling show the other night, and like at one point I'm throwing my hands up because I'm looking over at the TV and seeing what the Celtics are doing. That's what was going on there on Tuesday night. So, but that's the Rod Damnation for this week. Let's move on to our other staple here on the Fast Break, and that's where our guy Chris King gives us the hardwood hierarchy.
And yes, I know we just talked and heard Rod lament about the loss they had the other night, but they're still the king, all right? Celtics are still in that seat. They had won, 8 in a row before that loss, Rod?
11.
Something like that? 11? Oh, yes, 11 in a row, okay? So we can all calm down about this last loss a little bit and celebrate the fact that you're still the best team in the league.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It really makes me feel a little bit better after my Rod Damnation that the Celtics are still the king.
And just to be fair, I had decided that they were king long before I heard that little tirade.
Sure you did.
Okay, so the Queen got a little bit iffy today. Let's be honest, all right? I did kind of have a feeling of putting the Timberwolves at the Queen spot. And I know it's what have you done for me lately, but right now I'm a little bit concerned about what can you do for me tomorrow when it comes to Minnesota.
Definitely.
So I'm actually going to give it to the team that is probably one of the hottest teams right now. And they're out of the East. And that's the Orlando Magic, who's won 5 in a row.
The Magic are hot right now. You blew my mind when you said they were all the way up to 4th. But I do believe I did call that the Magic were going to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year. I was too scared to say which they'd be, play-in or top 6. But I did say they'd be in the playoffs. So I'm excited about that.
Listen, I'll be the first one to admit that I am still shockingly surprised at how well Orlando's played this entire season. They came out to that hot start. I thought it was a fluke at first, and they kept on winning through Christmas and into the All-Star break, essentially staying in that top 6 area. So I've been impressed.
What do you think they'd be like if they had an actual real point guard as well, right? Or somebody that could shoot. Like either one of those things would really help this Magic team out.
Like if they would have got maybe Fred VanVleet instead of Houston.
Mm-hmm. Or if maybe they would have ponied up something and got Buddy Hield instead of the Sixers getting him.
True, yeah. And then for our Prince, just due to the fact that Karl Anthony Towns is injured, I'm going to put OKC here. They do have a better record over the last 10. They still are ahead of Denver in the West right now. I know it's only a game, but they're still ahead of them. So they get the Prince seat.
Denver's coming fast though. They haven't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We'll see tonight though, right? We are at. That's another reason we're going to be cutting this show off because we got the big Celtics Denver tilt coming up here on
Yeah.
TV.
What's that at 10 o'clock?
It sure is. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yep, and I will say this: if Father Pete had mentioned that Denver is going to roll through the playoffs, they're going to end up getting the number 1 seed. If they don't get the number 1 seed, though, Rod, I get a little bit more concerned because they don't have the best record on the road.
Yeah, you're right about that. They definitely get benefited from the 5,280 feet elevation there in Denver. So, all right, I think maybe I gave away who the jester is as well with my little cracks there to Father Pete. But you tell me.
I'm probably going to go a little bit different. I'm going to start trying to focus my jesters on teams that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing more so than the teams at the bottom of the conference. All right. And we're going to talk about a team that has lost 3 in a row and have now found themselves back into the play-in game situation, and that's Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, Dallas. Everybody was talking about them hot coming out of the All-Star break, and it hasn't been that way here recently. You're good call.
Yeah, so like this is it. Like if you want to not be a jester, you got to win games and prove your playoff situation, because if you don't and you fail at that, you're going to be a laughing stock.
I like it. All right. Well, I just thought of something the other day here too, Chris. We did not, not the other day, just now, excuse me. We did not get to update the Wins League. I'm sure Jimmy's going to be way bummed out about that. I'll tell you who's not bummed out that we didn't update the Wins League, though. This guy, because I'm always bringing up the rear.
Listen. Our distance, like between me and you, has stayed consistently the same. Jimmy just keeps on exponentially going further and further. So, like, I don't want to hear it either. All right. Yeah. I'm happy that I'm not in last, but I don't need to hear it.
All right. And next week, I kept teasing the MVP table, and we've yet to do it. So next week we should do the MVP table.
Yeah. I'm gonna have some real thoughts here.
All right. Well, that is the fast break for this week. We might have some NFL nuggets for you next week, right? We had some franchise tag things that happened. We had some guys get cut. We have some deals that maybe are going to be signed. So maybe you'll see us talking a little NFL.
We may have a new position that is no longer valued in the NFL, much like running back. So we can discuss that as well.
See, there we go. I love it. We got some football for you next week. Basketball, we're getting ever closer to the playoffs. And it is booked and it is being taped this weekend. The Morgan the original, the first podcast from this feed, the pop culture feed, is coming back with something special, Chris. Don't give it all away to the people, but tease it for them a little bit what we're doing this weekend.
I'm going to learn them something, Rod.
There we go. I don't know if that's true or not, but you at least think that you're going to be learning them something, and that's all that counts, because it's going to be a takeoff. That's all I'm going to tell you, a takeoff. Who's going to be in the takeoff? Who are the judges? Check out the episode when it drops to find out. Until next time, that's the Morgan And Chris, final word is you.
Goodbye, Internet.